Sri Lanka is an island nation located in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka population about 20 million people. The island is rich with natural resources and have a diverse economy. Sri Lanka suffered several damage and loss of life from the tsunami of 2004 that really had a big effect on the natural disaster. Population. Year 2024 is 21,949,268 million. The population has increased 0.25% from year 2023. Year 2023 is 21,892,579 million. Year 2022 is 21,832,143 million. The population has increased 0.28%. Year 2021, 21,773,441 million. The population has increased 0.27%. The total land area is 65,610 kilometers. 19.03% of the population is urban. 4,137,016 million people in 2024. Median age is 32.2 years in 2024. Second is gross domestic product. Sri Lanka gross domestic product has moderate growth of 2.2% in 2024. Compared to the year 2023 is negative 1.7% of growth. Sri Lanka showing sign of stabilization of economy. Main industry in Sri Lanka is rubber processing, telecommunication, financial services, tourism, and petroleum.
Inflation is a continuous increase in the general price level of goods and services in the economy. Sri Lanka's inflation rate has decreased to 4% in August 2023. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, while this might sound like a positive development, it is important to understand that a lower inflation rate does not necessarily mean lower prices for consumers. Inflation signifies a reduction in the purchasing power of money, resulting in a general increase in the price of goods and services across the economy. The inflation rate measures the phase at which these prices are rising. And of course, there are effects of inflation. Sri Lanka has been battling a serious economic crisis, and inflation is a major contributing factor. Government should reduce purchasing power, such as everyday essentials like food, fuel, and medicine have significant price hikes. Sri Lanka's inflation is a complex issue with multiple causes, but its effects are widespread and severe. The government is taking steps to address it, but it will likely take time to bring inflation under control and rebuild the economy. There are many factors of inflation that can be divided into the short and long term. Change rates in the long run due to the amount of money due to increased demand growth, and in the short term due to supply side factors such as inputs. Inflation has occurred multiple times since Sri Lanka reform and opening due to a variety of factors. Consumer population size, fixed asset, government consumer scale, money supply, and actual usage of foreign capital are all factors to consider. Cross-cutting factors influence each other and contributes to inflation. There are two types of inflationary that can deal with inflation in Sri Lanka, that are demand pull inflation and cost pull inflation. So, demand pull inflation is rise when demand exceeds the supply of goods and services in an economy. A surge in money supply in an economy can also contribute to inflation. With more money in hand, consumer tends to spend more, causing price level to rise as the supply of goods and services struggle to meet the increased demand. Next, cost-push inflation is inflation caused by an increase in prices of inputs like labor, raw materials. The increased price of the factors of production leads to a decreased supply of these goods.
Unemployment is one of microeconomic problems, and the term unemployment is as a person who are from the labor force who did not work but willing to work and ready to accept a job. According to Department of Census and Statistics, the labor force is described as the academically active population aged 15 years and above who are employed or unemployed currently. The labor force is determined by three main factors. The first one is the size of the population. The second is composition in terms of gender and also age groups. Based on the graph, it shows the current rate of unemployment in Sri Lanka. As we can see, there is a slowly increasing rate from 2019 to 2023. At the same time, the graph illustrates that there is always a higher rate of unemployment in females. There is 4 types of unemployment, which are seasonal unemployment. These types of unemployment is basically we cannot see throughout the year, but it rises seasonally. During the peak period, the business activities will go up and increase and decrease the level of unemployment. But during the off-peak period, the business will go down and increase the level of unemployment. Next is frictional unemployment. It occurs temporarily while people change their existing job. Employees become unemployed for a shorter period of time until they find a new job from the market. Next is structural unemployment. Is basically a skill mismatch. For instance, due to undergoing technological advancement, some employees had not updated their new skills to stay in the firm. Lastly is cyclical unemployment, which means declining demand of the particular firm or the industry. If there is not enough demand for the goods or services in the market, the firms cannot offer more jobs. People lose their jobs due to the downturn of aggregate demand. For instance, unemployment is in the recession period. The effect of unemployment in Sri Lanka will be significant and impact individuals and society and also economy in various ways. The effect on individuals and society is financial strain. Unemployment individuals face financial difficulties due to loss of income. They might have been challenged in meeting basic needs such as food, shelter, and also healthcare. Next is psychological impact. With job loss, they can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, as individuals may feel loss of purpose. Next is skill erosion. Long-term unemployment can result in the erosion of skills and competencies, making it harder for individuals to re-enter the workforce when opportunity arises. Next, the effect on economy. They will reduce consumer spending. Unemployment reduces household income and consumer spending, which can lead to lower demand for goods and services, impacting business and economic growth. Next, lower tax revenues. Fewer people employed means lower tax revenues for the government, limiting its ability to invest in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other public services. Next, long-term growth potential. Persistent unemployment can hinder the development of human capital and innovation, which are essential for long-term economic growth and competitiveness.
Okay, so right now I will talk about monetary policy. So what is monetary policy? Monetary policy is a set tools used by a nation's central bank to control the overall money supply and promote economic growth, and employ strategies such as revising interest rates and changing bank reserve requirements. So they have two types of monetary policy, which is expansionary policy and contractionary policy. So for the expansionary policy, is one of type of monetary policy which aims to increase money supply and control unemployment during recession, while contractionary policy is another policy that will be used in order to decrease money supply and control inflation. So for the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, they are responsible for conducting monetary policy in Sri Lanka, which mainly involves setting the policy interest rates and managing the liquidity in the economy. That's all.
The use of spending and taxation by the government to influence the economic conditions of these countries is known as fiscal policy. The most important instrument for the government to manage the condition of the economy is fiscal policy that allows it to better manage inflation, increase employment, and spur economic growth. According to Sri Lanka's Ministry of Finance, the economic development of the country from 2021 to 2025 has obvious objectives. Sri Lanka receives its revenue through the payment of both taxes and non-taxes, including income tax, custom duties, and charges. In order to pay back its foreign debts, Sri Lanka raised taxes on computers, fuel, and cell phones from 15% to 18% at the present time. Eventually, the government could decide to reduce expenditures in order to reduce inflation.
To conclude, Sri Lanka, with a population of 21.9 million, has a current employment rate of 95.7% and a labour force participation rate of 47.1%. The employment rate from 2023 was 93.36%, which concludes that the monetary policy and fiscal policy made by Sri Lanka government is a success and able to increase the employment rate of Sri Lanka.